Hey, good morning, guys. It is Friday, April 26th, and this is my weekly recap of what went down this week. So, check it out. Okay, first off, man, yeah, so it's been a pretty busy week, I guess. I mean, nothing too crazy, nothing out of the ordinary, but if you guys have been kind of following along, last week I had talked a little bit about how things have been kind of slowing down for us, and we're finishing up some bigger projects that we've been working on for months right now, and we are in the process of looking for some more work and just getting out there and making stuff happen. But yeah, so one big thing. I mean, I got a list of a bunch of big stuff right here. But number one, our Sunbelt project that we've been working on for months and months. That if you guys checked out the one of my last videos, I kind of explained what happened there with the power company and this and that, and all the different stages of that job that took place. But we got our final inspection from the city this week on Sunbelt Rentals, and we also had our fire marshal walkthrough. So we got we're squared away there. We're finished. We're waiting on one last relay that I had to order for a big change order that they had. That should be here in about a week, but it's not holding anything up. So thankfully we are out of there. So that is big news. We could finally bill for the retainage and everything that they owe us. So that's a big deal right there, man. That eases up on a lot of our resources, right? So a lot of our guys are now free to start pursuing different stuff. So Sunbelt, check. Let's go. I got a list here. I kind of just want to talk about a couple things. Another project that we got going on is 84 Lumber. 84 Lumber. I had a video last week that showed us doing some dirt work and trenching and the site lighting and all that stuff. Well, that went really well, except for one minor major hiccup, I guess. There's a bunch of high pressure gas lines flowing through this property, and it's a massive lot. It's a big lot with a big building and some outbuildings, whatnot. But the high pressure gas lines need to be potholed or what do they call it? Basically, they need to identify exactly where these things are before we're allowed to trench over them, right? So, as you know, in electrical world, gas and water, they're usually way down there, at least 5 feet from surface. Electrical, we're not so deep down, we have code, right? So at most we're going to be, I call it 30 inches, to be safe. But, you got different tiers of requirements of how deep you need to be for conduits, whether it's in over a road, a residential property, a commercial property, under a building, like whatever it is. But anyway, in this case, I'm calling it 30 inches from finished grade to the top of our conduit should get us there. And so we're kind of waiting on that. We got everything else finished as far as the underground, as far as we could take it, I should say. So that's still a work in progress. So we got a few things going on there that need to get squared away. We actually have 3 or 4 guys on that job today that are working on the outbuildings and the outdoor lighting and doing some scissor lift work. So weather's sweet right now. Everything looks awesome in Colorado. It's been kind of rainy lately. I think we're supposed to get some rain this weekend, but man, it hasn't really affected us during the day too much this week, so that's been great. Let's see. So what else? We got Starbucks. We got a ground up Starbucks we've been working on that's coming to the tail end of it right now, which is really exciting because that job has been it's been great on our end. Like it's easy job, right? We've done a lot of Starbucks. We're actually quoting another Starbucks in the same city right now, which is going to be wonderful if we could get that because we will roll out of one Starbucks right into another, right? And if you guys are contractors, electricians, you know how that goes. All that stuff's fresh in your mind, and with the lighting control systems and the low voltage conduits and where to route them and do all this stuff. It takes a lot of time to figure that stuff out. And if it's fresh in your mind, awesome. Saves us a bunch of time. So we're hoping we get that job. But Starbucks, I learned a lesson there. And that lesson is be careful who you are doing business with at the supply houses. If you're ordering switch gear, ordering lighting packages, anything like that, you need to make sure that um, everything is squared away up front, right? And so normally the process, guys, it's pretty simple. So when we bid these commercial projects, or any project for that matter, but mostly commercial, one of my first questions that I always ask, the very first thing I'm going to ask is, do we supply lighting and do we supply gear? Right. So if they require the contractor, the electrical contractor, to supply that stuff, then it just adds more work to our scope, right? And you have a lot of admin time that goes into that. So you gotta make sure you know what you're doing and you're doing it right. But on the flip side of that, we get paid for it, right? So if I'm ordering the lighting package or the gear package, then I am for sure marking that stuff up for several reasons. But one of them, I mean, you got to consider just all the upfront work it takes to make sure that lighting package and that gear package is exactly what that job needs, and that usually should be done through submittals. And on this Starbucks, we did have submittals. I'll get to why this was a shit show here in a second, but anyway, the whole process is, we provide submittals to the GC. They take it back to the architect or whoever it is. They sign off of it, say, yep, this is good to go. They give us the green light. We order it, right? So that's how that goes. And so we, I'll mark those materials up because you got to consider all the admin time that it takes. You have to consider the inventorying of the lights, the management of the lighting package and the gear package. Where are you going to store it? Who's going to inventory it? Who's checking all that stuff in and out and making sure we have everything that we need. Just there's a whole bunch of man hours that goes into it, that it's not as simple as just ordering a lighting package. So I like ordering lighting and gear. I do, because we mark that stuff up depending on how much it is, anywhere from 10 to 30%. If it's a big package, 100 grand, 150 grand, then, I'm going to drop my markup down, so it's not such a, we got to be competitive, right? If it's not that expensive, I'll mark that stuff up 30%. I would love to know what other contractors are doing in these types of situations. But I mean, we don't win every job. We don't lose every job. So I've learned a long time ago, if you're winning every job, you're priced way too low. If you're not winning any jobs, you're obviously priced too high. So you got to find a nice middle ground, and whatever that means is what it means, right? So anyway, what happened on Starbucks here was we were working with, I think he's a pretty new lighting guy at the supply house. And man, he screwed everything up. Literally, I think he ended up eating $10,000 on this job for mistakes that he made and stuff that he wasn't paying attention. So that sucked, and it was simple stuff like my site lighting. All my pole lights in that parking lot were spec'd to be black, right? And black's not exactly common. You'll have a dark brown, bronze, or whatever, but Starbucks had these specific black poles, 4 inch by 4 inch square poles, and they had very specific Lithonia lighting that was required for this site, because of lighting codes and stuff like that, right? So they have these special shills, the special all this stuff that is beyond me when it comes to architectural design and stuff like that. But either way, the supply house orders these lights, and these pole lights alone it was like $25,000, something like that. Um, they ordered all the wrong stuff. They ordered all the wrong color, right? And the lights weren't even the same. We didn't have the amount of lights that we needed. Even though we supplied submittals, we had an email thread showing everything that we needed and confirmed and this and that. This guy just still dropped the ball over and over and over on us. So long story short, the supply house that we were working with there, they ended up eating a little bit over $10,000 on this job for mistakes that they made, that they at first, obviously they didn't like it, but we had all the proof in the emails, we had the submittals, it was all right there. And it's like, man, this guy just totally dropped the ball. So we're seeing that more and more, right, with suppliers and supply houses and stuff. It's like, I don't know if all the boomers are retiring or what's going on, and all these new younger dudes are coming in, that it's just different. It's a different world, man. So it makes our job harder. We got to account for that stuff in our quotes, because it's just, it takes more time, it takes more money, it takes more of everything. So that's that. Starbucks. Anyway, we're at the tail end of it. We literally have every single light we need on that job right now, except for one. So we're waiting for this one last light, which is amazing, because after that we're square there, and all we got to do is final trim, get our final inspections, get through fire marshal, all that stuff, and we're out of there. And so yeah, so that's cool. Anyway, all sorts of stuff went on this week. I have some awesome information though here in a second. We just have a whole bunch of opportunity right now is what it is, and I'm having a hard time trying to gauge which direction to go. Right, so let me explain. So on one hand, I have in one of my previous videos, I was talking about the biggest quote that I am working on to date for working for myself in 14 years, 14, 15 years now. I've been in business for myself. So this is the largest quote, and we don't do any multifamily stuff. We never have, but it is something that I'm starting to want to get into and get into more service side and more not so much residential new construction or residential remodels and stuff like that. But I do want to take switch gears a little bit and start getting into this multifamily game. They say 40% of the country is renters living in multifamily apartment housing right now. So that tells you something, right? 40% of the country are not homeowners living in multifamily apartment units. So that's why you're seeing all these things being built all over the country, left and right. And I think it's just going to increase. As you guys know, like it's super expensive to buy a house. Nobody can afford it. Everything's getting way out of whack right now. So that's where we are. So, we got to, as a contractor, I got to plan accordingly and make sure I'm doing my due diligence and planning for the future for our company. So that's my thinking right now. Okay. So anyway, I sat down with a particular project that we're working on this week. I had a meeting with the two owners, which were a husband and wife who have been in commercial real estate for years, 30 plus years. So they've done this. They're not new to this, right? I sat down with them. I sat down with their general contractor. I sat down with his superintendent, and I sat down with, I believe it was his business partner. I'm not sure who the other guy was, but he's pretty knowledgeable. So anyway, I've never had a meeting like this before where they tore apart my quote. Okay. So I came in at a certain number, and these people have been coming. They obviously are having a hard time finding another contractor or somebody that's within their budget, I guess. I don't know, but I'm obviously not in their budget because we had a meeting, we sat down, and um some of you guys might be like, what the hell were you thinking, right? But we literally went. So it's a 50 unit multi-unit place. It has two separate buildings that are going to be 4 units each. The whole entire site, 50 units, all Romex, pulling wire, drilling, wood frame type stuff, right? So for me, that kind of stuff is easy. We're commercial guys, so we're always bending conduit, pulling MC, so things are a little bit slower in that world, right? So looking at this resi thing, I'm like, man, we could blow through this, is what I'm thinking and hoping. Anyway, I sat down with the owners, had a meeting with those guys this week, and we went through every single facet of that project on the electrical end. And they sat there and took notes as to, okay, we have 50 units, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 living area. How many hours do you think it's going to take you to do that? Right. And these were the type of questions they were asking me. And at first it was a little uncomfortable. And I was like, how do I play this? How do I, like I want one side of me is like, I want this job. On the other side, it's like, I'm not going to get beat up on price either. Cause like the reality of things is we have to make money. Right. So anyway, I went through it with them, and we did this exercise and we went through everything. And so I have an estimator that we work with for a couple of years now. He's a remote estimator. It works out great because he's not full time, so I'm not paying a full time estimator salary. I pay him as the projects come along, and we've been working together for at least 2 years now. So it's really dialed in. He knows what we want. We know how he does things. And that's how I do it. It cost me maybe 20 grand a year to have a full time commercial estimator, and it's great. So anyway, I take my bill of material, I take my exclusions and inclusions, and we go through this whole thing. Literally, how long is it going to take to hang a pole light, right? And so I'm like painting a picture for these guys of this is what it looks like. We have 3 stories. Every day, if my guys are moving materials around, taking ladders to the top floor, to the bottom floor, and for us in that multifamily, the way I would do it is after it's framed, before it's dried in, after it's framed, I would be in there boxing. Number one, I'd box the entire place. Number two, I would drill the entire place and get it prepped for when they have it dried in so we could go pull wire, right? You can't pull wire till the place is dried in. So at least we could get ahead of the game and we could box it, we could drill it, we could mark it out, box it, drill it. So that's kind of the plan. And I'm trying to walk them through this and paint a picture of how long these things take and this and that. Well, anyway, according to their math, I was 1,500 hours over on what my little consultation with them did, right? The little exercise that we did. And so at the end of that, I'm like, all right, I could see that, right? And so what I explained to them was, look, as a contractor, and this is good advice for any contractor if you're in business for yourself or whatever it is, be careful when you're talking numbers, right? When people are like, well, how much is it going to cost? And you are, and you have employees and you already know, I've got myself in trouble so many times. And that's my line right there. And that's what I told them was like, look, I'm going to go ahead and do this, but I'll tell you right now that I get myself in trouble doing this because when I start writing these things down and figuring out man hours in my own mind, I'm thinking of it from my perspective, right? Like how I would do it, how fast it would go if I was doing it and all that stuff. And that you already know that's not the case, right? We have first year apprentices up to 10-year journeyman on that job site. And then there's me, who's a 20 plus year master electrician. So, and the owner of the business. So when I'm thinking of these things, it's almost like best case scenario where perfect world. And so I had to explain that to him, these 1,500 hours on I think we were at like 5,500 man hours on the job. And I couldn't really figure like, okay, just initially coming up with this stuff out of my mind, yeah, we're 1,500 hours short, but guys, you got to understand that like there's so much that goes into this and there's so much time that it's not like the guys just show up on site full bore 40 hours a week, like that's just never the case, right? Like you would drive your guys to the grave if you worked them like that. And maybe some of you guys do work like that. And if you do, then I'll shoot you my email and you can apply it today. That would be amazing, right? And not saying we have bad guys because we don't. We have studs. I have an awesome crew. They're all pretty good, like everybody's pretty good. So either way, 1,500 hours is where we ended up at the end of the day. And they're just looking at me like I'm crazy or something. And I'm looking at them like they're crazy. And it's like, hey, here's what it is, guys, is this project will require so much of my resources when there is so much more opportunity out there. Why would I not go for the low hanging fruit instead of getting hung up on your project that might require all my guys on some days, 10 to 15 to 20 guys on some days? Why would I tie myself down to that when I could be out like chasing these other low hanging fruit things that pay right away, which I'm about to get into? Um, so that's that. We're still kind of working through that. I'm pretty sure we're going to get the job. It's and it's cool. A part of me is a little like it's election year. What's the market going to do this year? Are things slowing down? Like you just don't know. So it's almost like a safety. It's like like you got to be careful in business where you start basing your decisions out of emotion. You could get yourself in trouble. So it's something I'm still working through today, and I'm going to send them another number today. I know what my bottom line, I know what my bottom number is there. So obviously that's not the number I'm giving them, but I do know what my bottom number is. So we're just going to play the game, And when you're in business for yourself, and it becomes you got to get good at being at sales. You got to be good at communicating and negotiating. Don't show your cards like I did here. Don't show your cards. I just showed them everything, but at the same time, I was being really transparent with them, and I think being transparent shows that you're honest, right? And I'm honest, and I'm explaining to them this is how it goes as a contractor, and then for me, it's like, okay, you guys have budgetary numbers. Where did that come from? Where are you getting your numbers from, and what makes you think that I should be within your numbers rather than my numbers, right? So that was a whole conversation we had. That it was the bank and a previous project they did with in Wyoming, and all this stuff, totally different stuff. So, just a lot going on there. But long story short, I think we're going to pursue it. If I can't get what I want out of it, that sucks because it is kind of an emotional thing where I'm like, man, this is the biggest number. This will be the biggest contract that we've signed to date. It'll keep my guys busy, through the entire summer for the most part, which is great because then I'm not, it's like I could send 10 guys over there for the day. Then it gives me an opportunity to keep moving forward on some of the service stuff we're working on and some of the other projects we're working on rather than being spread through Starbucks, 84, Sunbelt, Los Panchos, all these different projects where I'm like project managing all this stuff. So that's that. So yeah, I mean, what would you do? I guess I don't know. I'm curious what other contractors would do in that situation. So anyway, that's that. So what do we got? Starbucks, Sunbelt, 84 lumber. We talked about all that. Okay. So I'm going to get into why I'm talking low hanging fruit. So if you guys watched any of my previous videos, we like to do hot tubs. We love hot tubs, right? I've done them for years. I have relationships built with quite a few companies in our area. I love hot tubs. So this week I went and I was handing out more cards to some new potential clients. And as I'm sitting there talking to this guy, he was super cool. He starts drilling me, like, well, how much experience do you have? Like, how do you do your quotes? Like all this stuff. How much do you charge? Like these are our customers are important to us, right? So we need to make sure you take care of them. And I'm like, out of the blue, man, I was super proud of myself because I just had this inspiring thought where I'm like, okay, so this guy has 6 stores ranging from Denver, Colorado to Cheyenne, Wyoming. I live in Fort Collins, Colorado, so we're somewhere in the middle, right? He has 6 stores. And I say, okay, out of those 6 stores, how many spas do you think you'll sell this season? Like from now to the end of the year, whenever your season ends, right? And he goes, between our 6 stores, we projected to sell 1,000 spas this season alone. And I said, all right, that's a huge number, right? So out of those 1,000 spas, is it safe to say, I asked him, is it safe to say 80% of them will be new installs, require the electrician to come in and do a brand new install and all that, right? He goes, yeah, that's probably pretty conservative. So, okay, out of 1,000, that's 800 spas. And with our referral program, we pay $50 per spa that is over $1,000 bill. If it's under 1,000, I'll give them $25. If it's over 1,000, it's $50. Almost every single spa we do is over 1,000. We'd have a tier system, ranging from anywhere from $750 up to $2,500. Spas typically don't get into that $2,500 plus range unless you're trenching and just upgrading the panels, doing all this stuff, right? So typical spas for us are in between $1,000 and $2,000. That's where we're at. So I said, okay, out of those 800, if I'm paying you $50 per referral, that's a $40,000 kickback that we're giving your company this year. If you make us your sole electrician and we install 800 installs for you this year, and I pay you $50 on every single one, I'm kicking you back $40,000. Both of our jaws almost dropped when I realized the power of communication, right? The way I worded it there, he was like, that's a no brainer. He goes, I can't even get a pizza for my other electrician. And he complains about how much jobs we send him. He can't keep up. I'm like, there you go. So anyway, it's him and another owner. He's having a meeting with him this week. I gave him a whole stack of cards. I gave him some of these stickers that we just made that we like to go paste on. I mean, everybody has their own little stickers, but any job we're on, we slap that sucker right over the past electrician sticker. So that's how that goes. Um, but so yeah, we might have landed a huge deal there, right? And for us, hot tubs is low hanging fruit. We could bang out 4 hot tubs a day if we need to, easy. And that's awesome money. Our profit margins are amazing on hot tubs. The materials are easy to stock. It's all the same stuff all the time. We're very familiar with hot tubs, with the different companies and the different power requirements. We're familiar with, what the hot tub companies need from us. We know how to communicate with the customer to make it easy to get them a quote and make it fast and easy. We've just got this amazing system down that I would be willing to share with the right people, of how we do it. But it kicks ass for us. Like we do a ton of hot tubs. And so that's what I mean, right? It's like, should I be tying up all my resources on this big project with a big old number, right? Where I'm not 100% sure how much I'm going to make on it, or should I be pursuing the low hanging fruit, everyday quick service jobs? Or should I be doing both? Right. So my thinking is we're going to do both. So that's where that's at. That's just a little bit of advice for guys who are trying to scrounge up some work. Reach out to me. I could show you exactly how we do our tier system, how we market this to the company, to the hot tub companies, how we are with what we do with the customers to make it easy for them. I feel like we've got an amazing system that we created ourselves, and man, it works. We crush it on the hot tub. So that's cool. Man, what else? So this week, we might end up with another big old lighting retrofit project. We've built a couple, maybe in your part of the country, it's not a thing, but there are these Orange Theory gyms. It's a franchise. orange lighting, and you go in there and they give you a workout, all this stuff. So we've built quite a few of these gyms in our area. But anyway, we do all their service work and all their lights from 8 years ago from building these places that they purchased. They have these very specific lights that they put in these stores and these gyms and this and that, are all starting to burn out. So we've been getting calls like weekly to come and replace lights and do this and do that. Well, these lights are a pain in the butt. They got like 4 or 5 different lights in these projects with a couple different ballasts, a different driver, some low voltage stuff, just all this crap, and it's all compact fluorescent stuff too. So it's not even, some of it's not even LED. So anyway, these guys got like 6 stores that are all going to need retrofits, eventually, or we just keep doing it slowly how they're doing it, which, if they do that, it's going to cost them a lot more money. If they just keep calling us week after week to come replace, they're paying for trip charges and, just T&M is how we're doing it right now. So it's going to get expensive for them if they don't just bite the bullet and let's just get it all done in one swoop. So that was cool. Another awesome thing that happened this week. Actually, one of my foremen was on lunch. He was sitting in his work van during lunch, and Cisco is one of our main guys, and Cisco, he can speak Spanish, right? So this Mexican dude comes up to him as he's eating lunch, and he just starts chopping it up with them. He's like, long story short, he's like, hey, we need an electrician. We're building a couple restaurants. Well, turns out this guy is building a couple really nice restaurants in some really awesome locations in our area right now. So we had a meeting with him this week, and it looks like we're doing his job. So I'm throwing him quotes on his stuff today. But not only that, this guy was a hustler, man. This guy, he has 37 food trucks spread out through Colorado. Basically, I don't know if you're familiar with Colorado, but somewhat from basically the whole state. He's got 37 of these food trucks. He's the vice president of a farmer's market. His partner's the president of the farmer's market. So their strategy is to set up these farmer's markets, and then they send their trucks out to these places to sell food, right? Tamales, tortillas, and breakfast burritos, which are freaking amazing. Like, I've been eating them every day since I met this guy. He has one of these trucks set up not too far from us. So this guy was super cool, and he was like, I have 37 of these trucks. I'm about to build 2 restaurants. He goes, I do everything by myself. I get up at 2 a.m. Me and my wife, we cook all the food. They have all these massive machines that do all this stuff, $150,000 machines that make tortillas and stuff, So it's not like he's sitting there, but they are prepping the food, cooking it, packaging it, doing all that stuff at 2 a.m. in the morning. And then he says a couple hours later, his trucks start rolling in. They pack up all the trucks. The trucks go to their designated locations, and they kill it. He told me this past season, his season starts in May and it ends in September. Okay. So he said last season they did 1.3 million in sales, and he paid taxes on $600,000. So his bottom line was damn near $600,000. And that was just through credit card swipe transactions. He goes, obviously people pay us cash too. And he's like, I don't talk about that too much, but yeah, they pay, so this guy's doing really well. He's working his tail off, but those are awesome numbers, right? 1.3 million, making 600,000, selling burritos on the side of the road, right? But he's got an awesome strategy also. So anyway, not only are we going to end up doing his jobs, we're now talking. I'm like, man, like, how can I help you? Right? I'm an entrepreneur. I have other businesses, not just electrical, and I'm an entrepreneur, man. So we're always looking for opportunities like that where we can invest and help somebody build something, and not have to do too much of the work. Just learn the business a little. So I don't know, get in the food industry. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's seasonal. I'm just not sure how this could all work out. But anyway, opportunity. So pretty cool. What else? Man, we sent out a bunch of bids. Numerous hot tub bids this week, numerous EV chargers this week. What else have we done? This morning, I got a little hiccup this morning. I'll tell you real quick, and I'm going to end the video. But we had an EV charger scheduled for this morning. And when we do EV chargers, we pull permits. Well, this particular one was a Tesla 50 amp charger, and the lady that was in the property is renting the house. So I went and had to contact the homeowner because he had some concerns with load and stuff like that, right? So long story short, this guy gets me his pictures back late last night, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this house is like already overloaded. He's got no gas in the house, right? So he's got electric appliances everywhere. It's a 3,200 square foot house. He has 12 baseboard heaters, 240-volt baseboard heaters spread out throughout the house for his heating. And then he has 2 condensing units with 4 mini split heads in the house to cool the house. He had electric range, electric stove, electric microwave, all the standard stuff, right? When you're doing load calcs. Anyway, I do this guy's load calcs this morning at 6 a.m. because we're scheduled to go to his house at 8 a.m. to do the install. And I'm like, oh gosh, like he's at 286 amps. He has a 200 amp service, but he's at 286 amps with this EV charger. And I'm just like, oh man. So that's a problem. So I had to go and call the homeowner. And then I had to go and call the renter, who she's in a bind. But long story short, her company's paying for this install and she has to have this charger in her house. So I am going to propose a load shedding device is what I'm going to do, rather than, because we can't really upgrade his service in this city to the 400 amp stuff or the 320 amp meter base, all that. We can't do that here. So he's maxed out for the available power that he gets. So our only option here is a load shedding device, or we install gas into his property and transition all of his appliances to gas, which that's not going to happen, right? So I'm thinking somewhere between 1,700 and 2,500, I could get this load shedding device installed. Another 850 to install the EV charger, which is right next to the panel, is going to get that job done. But yeah, I kind of dropped the ball on that, or not. I could have been a little more proactive with that one and trying to get the homeowner to get me this stuff that I needed. And here I am, stuff happens, man. We're busy guys. We got a lot of stuff going on. As I'm doing this video, I just keep seeing my phone going off for my guys in the field. So I got to get back to them. And I appreciate you guys, man. If you're watching these videos, holler at me, like ask questions, like I love talking to other contractors and getting their perspective and the things that they're going through. And I think it's comforting, right? Like I like watching all kinds of YouTubers that, from first year apprentices to seasoned guys. I'm watching this concrete guy right now who just straps a GoPro on him and goes out every day and shows what he does during the day. This guy's got like 250,000 subs, and I love watching it. It's like fun to see other contractors and knowing that you're not the only one going through all this stuff, right? So there it is, guys. It's Friday. I'm excited. I think everybody's excited. It's payday for everybody except for us, right? But we're gonna go make it happen. I'm taking my kid to go sell his car today. He's trying to get a truck for his business, and I've mentioned my son before. He's amazing. I want to interview him one of these days. He's 18 years old with his own business. He's trying to create a course for it right now, a car detailing business. He actually absolutely crushes it, but he needs another truck, so he's selling his little hot rod car, and yeah, we're gonna go find him a truck today. So heck yeah. Appreciate you guys. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we will catch up with you later. Thank you.